When we last left off in Dragon Ball Super Sadala, the troubles in Universe 6 concerning the Saiyans have made their way to the ears of Vegeta, all the way in the 7th, who vows to give his brothers and sisters the tools necessary to avoid extinction like the Saiyans in the Mirror Universe. When he finally arrives on planet Sadala, Vegeta is immediately met by the Sadala Defense Force, consisting of many young and upcoming warriors who are made short work of course, by a veteran like Vegeta. As Cabba arrives to see what's going on, he's shocked to find that Vegeta has finally arrived as per his request for help. Vegeta, however, tells them that he isn't here to save them at all. In fact, he's only here to make sure that they have the strength to take care of themselves, and so far, he isn't impressed. As Vegeta commands them to the training grounds in order to start whipping them into shape, he calls out the fact that it seems Cabba is already leagues above all of them, being a Super Saiyan in his own right. What Vegeta does next is tell Cabba to spar with the 5 strongest Saiyans there by himself, and as expected, Cabba easily defeats them all. Once done examining their battle, Vegeta's observations lead him to believe that due to the Saiyans in this universe not having tails and having no recollection of them whatsoever, they've been ready to ascend for quite a while to not only Super Saiyans, but far beyond that too. For their next test, Vegeta himself attacks the Saiyans, forcing them into fight or flight mode, as his oppressive power displays just how large the gap actually is between even just him and Cabba. He soars into space high above the planet, now in his God of Destruction mode, and gets into a familiar stance as he begins to charge obscene amounts of energy within his hands. Vegeta releases a nuclear blast-sized final flash down at planet Sadala, forcing the Saiyans below to think fast or risk total extinction, as Cabba orders them all to get behind him and put everything they have into their next attack as they clash with the beam. With Cabba at the forefront, the Saiyans are forced into an unusual situation as their planet and their own lives are now on the line, which forces them all to finally ascend to Super Saiyans. As Vegeta's blast disappears, the Saiyans seem to think that they've won and overcome Vegeta's fearsome power, but Cabba informs them differently. As Cabba kneels, strangely fatigued, he explains that Vegeta's attack wasn't overwhelmed by them at all. It simply just erased their energy. Vegeta's next attack is one that could erase the very planet they stand on, as a massive supernova-sized sphere of destruction is created over his head, which he sends soaring towards the ground below, awaiting the Saiyans' response. Cabba quickly orders the defense force to lend him the remainder of their energy as countless Saiyans pour their power into their commander. This is when something magical begins to happen, as Vegeta's attack rips towards planet Sadala and is then met with an oddly unique force of power, the only power in the universe able to negate such an attack. As the gigantic explosion from the colliding blast erupts, back on planet Sadala, the Saiyans finally seem to be breathing a sigh of relief as Vegeta's attack is no more, but Cabba has done something sensational with the help of his comrades. With the power of countless pure-hearted Saiyans flooded into him, Cabba has found himself wielding the power of the gods as a new Super Saiyan god has just been born. But this entire display has caught the attention of quite a few people. This is an original fan animated manga by Jordan Lee and Monty Black called Dragon Ball Super Sadala and takes place post the Tournament of Power. If you guys want to check this manga out for yourselves, the link to Blackbird Studios Twitter, which is run by both Jordan and Monty, will be down below, so be sure to go check them out and seriously go support these guys. These are most definitely the homies. If you haven't already, be sure to have those notifications turned on by clicking the bell icon down below to never miss an upload, and if you have been enjoying all of the anime content recently, consider leaving a like on this video as well. It really helps out a ton, guys. Don't forget to follow on both Twitch and Twitter to stay up with me and all Dragon Ball and anime related content, but without further ado, "What's going on?" Caulifla says, shocked after seeing that huge explosion in the sky. "Did you see that?" she says to Kale. "The defense force is dealing with some major firepower. We have to go see what's going on," she says. "Get hyped, Kale, there may be someone over there worth your new power." "And mine too," she says. "I heard word that Cabba recently handled some threats all on his own that entire teams of Saiyans couldn't handle. Sounds like fun, she says, and if we beat the defense force's best man, maybe we can rake in some of that defense force cash and finally make our territory something special. Now let's go, Kale, she says as the two fly off to see what's going on with the defense force. Back at the battlefield, the demeanor of the Saiyans has completely changed as they all show off their new Super Saiyan forms. Cabba, however, is still lost as to how he's come across this new power as Vegeta continues to watch from above. This is when Kale and Caulifla finally arrive at the battlefield, with Caulifla shocked that everyone seems to be a Super Saiyan now. The other Saiyans take note of their arrival as well, but as I'm sure you guys remember, Kale and Caulifla don't exactly have the best relationship with the defense force. This is when they decide to pretty much swarm both Kale and Caulifla, looking to take them down once and for all with their newfound power, but it seems that Kale is having none of that. As the Saiyans charge at them, Kale goes completely berserk, transforming into her legendary Super Saiyan form as she looks to protect her sister. Kale single-handedly suffers from the onslaught of an army of Super Saiyans as she struggles to hold her own, but all this seems to be doing is enrage her even more as her power begins to boil over. She explodes in a rage, knocking all of the Saiyans off of her as they rethink their game plan, with Kale's power proving to be truly demonic. Oh come on, it's not like she's possessed, Caulifla says, correcting them. Her power just goes to her head. You guys are no better, look at yourselves. We can take her down together, they declare. We are Super Saiyans now. We have to prevent the planet's destruction. She could kill us all if we don't work together and end this once and for all. As the Saiyans continue to pretty much just jump Kale, Cabba and Vegeta continue to spectate as Caulifla begs her to get a hold of herself and control her power like she did before. A planet full of rookie Super Saiyans, Vegeta thinks to himself, shaking his head. I should have seen this coming. But this is when something absolutely drops his jaw as Kale's power continues to soar. Kale's own power begins to overtake her as her anger clouds her mind. Caulifla attempts to snap her out of it, but at this point, Kale has just completely lost it. She swings at Caulifla, sending her flying, and then turns her attention back to the defense force. As Kale launches herself at her opponents, looking to land an absolutely crushing punch, Cabba finally intervenes. Super Saiyan God Cabba easily stops Kale in her tracks, telling them that all this battling has gone far enough. Kale is shocked that Cabba of all people was able to stop her so easily, but this form he's using she recognizes all too well. As Saiyans, Cabba explains, we should only be fighting each other to grow stronger, together. This war will do nothing but destroy us. Cabba's words seem to have finally snapped Kale out of her rage as her anger, as well as her wild power, settles down. It's at this point that it seems Kale is now in full control of her power and rage, much better than she ever was before even, which puts a smile on both Cabba and Caulifla's faces, but this training is far from over. I never thought I would see Planet Sadala's war prevented before my eyes, Vegeta says, still spectating. Coming to this universe has been a learning experience to say the least, but there's much more to be done. So, Cabba, are you like a god or something now? Caulifla asks him, taking note of this new power. You probably think you can take me and Kale both on now, huh? She says. I don't know about all that, Cabba says humbly. To be honest, this power is new. I'm afraid I can't control it properly yet. By the way, who shot that giant blast at our planet? Caulifla asks. That was intense. That would be me, Vegeta says, finally returning to the planet's surface. You? What are you doing here? She asks. Looking for a good fight, old man? You have no idea what's going on, huh? Vegeta says. No surprise. Let's just say I'm here to whip the defense force into shape. Ha! Good luck, she says. Super Saiyan or not, these guys are chumps. They need serious work. Speak for yourself, Vegeta says. If anyone here needs work, it's you. This jab of course angers Caulifla, who is more than confident in her own power, with Vegeta recognizing that familiar arrogance and pride coming from her, both its strengths and weaknesses. I don't need a lecture from you, old man, she replies. Real pride is pushing yourself, regardless of the possibility of defeat, he says. Head on with no fear. That's something you have the opportunity to prove you're capable of now. if you have it in you, he says to her. With the entire defense force watching, Caulifla accepts Vegeta's challenge, telling Kale that this is her battle and to sit this one out. Caulifla transforms into a Super Saiyan without Vegeta even batting an eye in his base form. As she charges at him, when she gets in close range, she disappears then reappears in his blind spot. Vegeta easily dodges this attack, however, shocking Caulifla, who didn't really expect him to be this fast for whatever reason. She turns it up a notch as she releases a flurry of attacks, all of which Vegeta easily dodged without really breaking a sweat at all. "You think you can win as a Super Saiyan?" Vegeta asks her. "That's rich. Just so we're on the same page, I'm not impressed." She decides to crank it up to Super Saiyan 2, but even this large jump in power is barely able to make Vegeta use one hand to block her, which makes him chuckle. "Well, I guess this proves it. You are all talk," he says to her. "Hate to break it to you, but you are way out of your league." "So you want full power?" she replies angrily. "You got it." Caulifla's power begins to soar to amazing heights as her hair grows longer as well, and this is when she reveals that she's learned the Super Saiyan 3 transformation through her own methods, it seems. Still, Vegeta is severely unimpressed, however, as he simply smirks. "You think that means anything to me?" he says to her, as he assumes that devilish god of destruction form once more, with a menacing aura forming around him. With nothing but images of destruction forming in his mind, Vegeta once again easily dodges Caulifla's best attack and sends her soaring into the ground, as it seems she finally begins to understand that her power-ups, no matter how strong, mean nothing to a god. "Come on," she says, angered by not being able to lay a finger on Vegeta. "This isn't a fight, you just keep running." "I bet you're all talk," she says. This is when Vegeta instantly appears in front of her, however, very reminiscent of his teacher's battle with Goku, as he tells her, "Wouldn't that be convenient for you?" He places a finger to her forehead and with a simple flick, sends her flying across the battlefield. Vegeta instantly appears behind her when she rebounds, and with his first and final attack, a chop to the back of the neck, he knocks Caulifla unconscious as she returns to her base form. "This is what relying on Super Saiyan will ultimately lead to," he says to them, after that amazing display of godly power. "Push yourself. Push yourselves without a crutch," he tells them. "That's how you grow." As Kale retrieves her sister, she vows to grow stronger, to the point where no one will ever hurt them again. This is when Vegeta tells Cabba to return his attention back to their training, however, as this was but a short interruption. "Eyes on me, Cabba," he tells them. "I hope you're ready." The real lesson starts here, he says, as the next chapter is foreshadowed with a decisive battle between a Super Saiyan god and pretty much a god of destruction beginning. Huge shoutouts to Jordan and Monty once again for how they implement a lot of these ideas and references in these chapters, so please guys be sure to go support them and check them out.